Hi everybody, and thanks for joining the webinar today. So my name is Claire O'Brien, and I just wanted to talk to you this evening a little bit about gut health. Now, I know that we've been on a journey of heart health for the last 5 days, so I just wanted to talk a little bit about gut health because it really is at the root of good heart health too, and you'll see that as I talk a little bit more. So just wanted to thank everybody for taking part in the Heart Healthy Challenge this week, and to thank everybody who sent me messages and who posted and who downloaded the ebook, and for those who are still on the challenge, a really big thanks to you as well. So my name is Claire O'Brien, and I'm the owner of Honest and Goodness Nutrition, based in Cork, but I also deliver online consultations and phone consultations all over Ireland and the UK and Europe. So I just wanted to start this evening by talking about what the digestive system is. So the digestive system starts with your eyes, your nose and your mouth. So by seeing the food, by being able to smell the food, it triggers in us a want for the food and tells our stomach that we're about to eat. And so it starts to create saliva in our mouth in order to start breaking down the food. So the saliva in our mouth contains enzymes, salivary amylase, which starts the breakdown process of our food. So from there, it travels down our esophagus into our stomach and into our large intestine through our small intestine. It's very important that we pay attention to every aspect of our digestive system, because it's very easy to just concentrate on what's going on in our stomach and in our intestines without actually paying attention to what's going on in our mouth or other parts of our gut. We need to be able to break down our food efficiently in order to get the vitamins and minerals that we need from the food that we're eating, so that we can get all of those nutrients that we need for our heart health, for our gut health, and for all of our systems in our body. So for example, our carbohydrates and sugars are broken down into glucose and stored. Our fats are broken down to create cell membranes and to create hormones, and our proteins are converted into fatty acids for micronutrient transport all over our body. So it's really, really important and very central to everything that we do. So what is our gut microbiome? So yesterday was International Microbiome Day and throughout the world. And I know in Cork there's a centre of development in the area of microbiome and probiotic research in UCC, but it's not something that everybody knows what the microbiome is. So the microbiome is basically all of these different microorganisms, so tens of trillions of them that exist. These are bacteria that you'll know from probiotics, but also fungi and viruses that live in our intestines and help our gut to do the job that it's supposed to do. So we have a unique microbiota, every single one of us, and we know for sure that it plays a huge role in our health and in diseases in all humans. So you can see here a picture of what diversity looks like over time and how it is affected by our age and by our geography and by our diet. So our microbiome does develop over time and is a function of our environment and your specific diet. You get your first batch of bacteria from your mum during childbirth, and then your gut bacteria develop over time due to exposure. So if you have a high level of vegetables and a variety of foods in your diet, you're going to have a more diverse microbiome than somebody who say just eats the same 3 foods every day. And then the geography does play a huge role as well. We get a lot of our microbiome bacteria from our environment, from the soil around us as well, through the food we eat. So there is this idea of good bacteria and bad bacteria. So good bacteria would be things like bifidobacteria and lactobacilli bacteria, which you'd find in a lot of over-the-counter probiotics, with different strengths and different types all over the place. And then one that you might think of as being a bad bacteria is E. coli, but we actually need E. coli to create vitamin K2, which is essential for blood clotting. So when you think about these bacteria, what we should be thinking of is that they all need to live in balance and harmony together. So your good bacteria and your bad bacteria will all exist to different degrees, but we want to make sure that our productive bacteria, the ones that help us to use our food to convert it into fuel, is doing a great job, and the ones that are not working for us are being kept under control. Things like Campylobacter can cause huge amounts of gut disruption, so can Clostridium difficile. You'll see a lot of people with SIBO and with gut bacteria and IBS symptoms will have out of control levels of these types of bacteria. But it can also happen if we don't have enough diversity, or if one of these bacteria gets compromised. You can see that other bacteria will take over that terrain, and that can cause ill effects as well. So some of the symptoms of having a disrupted gut are kind of obvious stuff like cramps and diarrhea and constipation and flatulence, but also things like aching joints, acne, skin rashes, candida, which is opportunistic and can take over when a gut bacteria is eliminated. Things like headaches and memory loss, PMS, low stomach acid, lowered immune response, even things like anxiety and nutritional deficiencies can happen when our gut is disrupted. So your gut can be disrupted by lots of different things. So stress, lack of sleep, medication, antibiotics, eating lots of processed foods, having foods that are irritating to our stomach, can all contribute to dysbiosis, which is the name that we give to disrupted gut. You can also have things like IBD and IBS when it's extremely disrupted. And what can happen when we have this over a long time, if we're eating food that is causing inflammation or intolerance, is that we can end up with something that's known as leaky gut. And this can cause lots of other issues throughout our body, including inflammation and including things that really affect our heart health. What we want our gut bacteria to do is to be able to be healthy and produce things called short chain fatty acids, which help us to digest our food and create things like vitamin B12, so that we can have a nice healthy gut that keeps us happy and keeps our mood elevated and can do so many wonderful things for our health. Now, there is also a huge gut-brain connection. So the gut-brain axis is the biochemical signaling that takes place between the gut and the nervous system. And this is a constant feedback loop. And an imbalance in one of these can cause an imbalance in the other one. So if you think about it, when you're stressed, you might feel butterflies in your stomach. But also when you're digestive system is disrupted, it can affect your mood and your concentration levels as well as your memory. So they're very, very interlinked, and they have to work together in harmony. So biochemical disruption like this is evident in things like anxiety, ADD, in obsessive compulsive disorder, to a certain extent in dementia, and has also been studied in autism. But just on a physical injury side of things, as well as the central nervous system, this can impact on gut motility and digestion. So the two things are extremely interlinked, and that is why we included quite a bit of information about rest and digest and fight or flight and sleep in the Heart Healthy Challenge, because when that gut-brain connection is not functioning right, then we can't get our nutrients and our health suffers. So some of the symptoms of this disruption is physical, like I talked about, sleep problems and restlessness, but also emotional. So things like crying and feeling overwhelmed, being easy to anger, feeling really down, even depression, having trouble relaxing can be a symptom of this gut-brain disruption. And behavioral, so things like procrastinating and grinding your teeth, which might not be something that you would have associated with a gut disruption problem. So what can you do? So luckily there is lots of things you can do to get a healthy gut, and they don't actually have to be expensive things either. So I wanted to give a few examples of very easy things that can be followed, so that it's free or really cheap and just takes a couple of minutes of your time, and can really, really impact positively on your gut health. So the first of those is hydration. So this was one of the 3 pillars in our Heart Healthy Challenge, was hydration. So a lot of people are under consuming water throughout the day, or they might be having a lot of black tea or coffee, where they're drinking a lot of caffeinated drinks which are diuretics and can cause us to be further dehydrated. So it's having the opposite effect of what we want. And hydration is really, really key in controlling blood pressure, in things like achieving a healthy cholesterol balance, because it is one of the reasons why your kidneys will say, oh no, we're in trouble here, guys, we're dehydrated, increased blood pressure, or we can't get the cholesterol out of our body because we're dehydrated. So the average person needs 2.5 to 3 litres of water a day. And I hope you've been keeping up with that during the challenge. But if you've been finding it difficult, one of the best ways is really to eat your water. So things like watery vegetables, or soups that are kind of watered down, drinking broths through the day, and herbal teas. And for people who don't like herbal teas in general, there's so many of them available now with so many different flavors, different fruit teas that are caffeine free, turmeric teas, turmeric lattes, all of those things really contribute to your water intake. So as long as it's not a caffeinated drink or an alcoholic drink, then it's contributing to your water content. It's easier to do in the summer when the weather is warmer and we naturally want a bit more water, but our water requirement also goes up when we are warm and sweating a bit more, exercising a bit more. So it's something to keep an eye on. And it's not just water that keeps us hydrated. There's also things called electrolytes. So our electrolytes are chemicals like minerals like magnesium, potassium, chloride, calcium, and salt. So we need to keep all of those in balance in order to be hydrated. So it is really good thing to do to put things like fruit and cucumbers, mint and stuff like that into water when you're drinking it, because it helps with your body's ability to absorb those nutrients and the water at the same time, so it's faster and easier for it to take up. Then the second thing is just making sure that we're getting a balanced diet with lots of vitamins and minerals. And I spoke about this in the smoothie video, but making sure that we are getting 5 to 7 portions of vegetables a day across a rainbow, so a full spectrum of foods, and then 2 to 3 portions of fruit in a day. Not a 50-50 split, definitely more vegetables than fruit, with the sugar content, but also with the vitamin and mineral content. We really want to put an emphasis onto the vegetable side of things. So here you can see the phytonutrient spectrum food list, and I'm quite happy to share a copy of this with anybody who wants it. So looking at the red foods, you can see things like bell peppers, oranges, cherries, goji berries. So these are very anti-inflammatory foods that are cell protective and contribute to our heart health. So just by looking at colours of the rainbow and colours of our food, we know that heart health is very strongly associated with red foods, so really important. Then orange is really important for our immune health and cell protection. And it's also really good for things like skin health, and for general longevity and feeling healthy and vital. So foods like carrots and mangoes, nectarines and oranges, pumpkins, squash and sweet potato, they're a rich source of vitamin A, which means they are really good for our stomach and really good for our digestion. Yellow foods, then looking at things like ginger, turmeric, pineapple, things like summer squashes and lemons. They're very anti-inflammatory, again really good for our heart health and really good for our overall vascular health. Green foods, so we cannot get enough green foods, and I love putting things like rocket and mint and different varieties of bitter greens into salads, but also things like or avocados and asparagus and green tea. These are really anti-inflammatory. They're really great for keeping our digestive system moving. They're super for our heart health, and because they are anti-inflammatory and because they also act as cell protectors. Purple foods, again, so anti-inflammatory, great at antioxidants, really good for producing things called nitric oxide, which is really important. Can't say really enough how important these are in producing chemicals that we need to relax our vascular system so that we can reduce our blood pressure, keep it regular, keep it at a good level, and make sure that our heart is working as well as possible. It's also really good for our liver health and for getting rid of any toxins that might be in our body. Then we have got the white kind of brown foods, which people don't really think about as much as being good for us. But things like coconut and mushrooms, garlic and ginger are all really lovely, heart healthy foods that are cell protective, again, great for our gastrointestinal health, brilliant for our immune system, and also really good for cell protection again. So things that will help our bowels to keep moving and will help our immune system and our heart. So garlic, really important for heart health. Things like mushrooms, really important for our immune system. And nuts as a fantastic source of essential fatty acids, which we need for healthy cells all over our body, which are really important in terms of heart health too. And then fiber. So fiber is extremely important when you have any kind of cholesterol imbalance. So if you're trying to improve your HDL cholesterol, or you're trying to lower your LDL cholesterol and get your numbers under control, or you just want to make sure that there isn't a buildup of plaque in your arteries, fiber is like a sweeping brush that pulls all of that excess cholesterol out of our body through our liver and excretes it out of our body. So it's extremely important. And the best sources of fiber are vegetable sources. So the amount of vegetables is really important to keeping us regular and to make sure that we can keep our cholesterol under control. Particularly important for anybody with a genetic link to their cholesterol, or who might have atherosclerosis. So then just moving on to prebiotics and probiotics. So we hear the word probiotic in connection with digestive health quite a lot, but people are a little bit confused about what probiotics are. So probiotics are the biota that can live in our system and can contribute, and we talked about the different types like bifido and lacto earlier, but you can get them from food. You don't have to buy supplements. You can get them from kefir and miso, and from sauerkraut and sourdough bread, which I know loads of people were baking over lockdown. You can get them from apple cider vinegar, and you can also get them from live yogurt. So live yogurt is available in most shops and is really great for people as long as they don't have any kind of issues with digesting dairy. And then prebiotics. So prebiotics are basically our food for the microbiome. They help our microbiome thrive, and they help those good bacteria colonies keep going and growing and making sure that everything stays in balance in our digestive system. So we can get our prebiotics from foods. Again, we don't have to buy a supplement. We can eat things like oats. Porridge oats are fantastic. They also contain beta glucans, which are fantastic for strengthening our immune system. Onions are so good. They're on the list twice. Garlic, as you know, is fantastic as well for our heart health. Artichokes are also brilliant for blood pressure as well as a prebiotic. Things like berries, particularly in the morning, they are a food for our microbiome, but they're also a brilliant antioxidant. So wonderful choices of food-based probiotics and prebiotics. Essential fatty acids, which I mentioned briefly earlier. So they are the building blocks of our cells, and having fat in our diet is absolutely and utterly crucial. It creates all the cell structure of every cell in our body and is absolutely so important in our hormone health. And I don't just mean things like thyroid or estrogen or testosterone or cortisol, which are a stress hormone, but all hormones. So the hormones that control our blood pressure, the hormones that control our heart health, and hormones that control our brain health, all of these are reliant on the fat that we eat. And we have a choice of either having something like an omega-3 fatty acid that is anti-inflammatory and helps create nice squidgy workable cells that allow nutrients to go in and out freely, or we can eat the types of trans fats and saturated fats to a certain degree that can be stodgy and is difficult for our body to use. So it's absolutely really, really important that we have monounsaturated fatty acids in our system, and that we know that there is a decreased risk of coronary heart disease with people who have more omega-3 fatty acids in their diet. So omega-3 fatty acids are found very commonly in fish, oily fish like salmon, sardines, mackerel, but they're also found in non-fish sources like flaxseed oil, which is great for salad dressings, also in sesame oils in organic meats as well to a certain degree. So there's lots and lots of different sources of omega-3 and really, really worth including in your diet. I know some people who are on blood thinners are not able to supplement with omega-3, but you can absolutely eat them in food form and enjoy the benefits of them. And there's also been studies to show that omega-3 fatty acids have been of benefit for people with dementia. So even with vascular dementia, that can be protective to have a high omega-3 fatty acid content in your diet. And that kind of brings me to what I was talking about, trans fats. So ultra processed food is the enemy of our heart health. It's really destroys our gut microbiome in that it kills off diversity. The amount of sugar that would be in something like this so would also cause a lot of inflammation and cause kill off of our good microbiome cells, our good probiotic friends, the ones that help our digestive system to work. So you want to stay away from processed foods, particularly ultra processed foods like pizzas and donuts and sugary foods and sugary cereals, and most cereals are sugary, and then simple carbs, things like white bread rolls, which convert straight into glucose and spike our glucose. We really need to stay away from those ultra processed foods for our gut and for our heart health. Now, I'm not saying that you should never ever eat another donut again for the rest of your life or anything, I'm just saying, use the 80-20 rule. So 80% of the time you eat healthily for your heart and your digestive health, and that means the other 20% of the time you can have a slice of cake or a donut or a slice of pizza without feeling guilty or undoing any of that hard work. And then exercise. So this is also one of our pillars, but I can't emphasize enough the impact that exercise has in a positive way on our gut microbiome and in our digestive health overall, as well as our cardiovascular fitness and our cardiovascular health. Now, I've been encouraging everybody to take at least 30 minutes of exercise outdoors each day during the 5-day challenge, but also just wanted to mention that it is really good to do an impact or rebound body weight type of exercise too. So if you can do any kind of weight bearing exercise, that can have a really positive effect on our muscle cells, and including our heart as well as our gut microbiome. So things like yoga, where you'd be using your body weight, or just, if you can do planking, you could do it at 3 minutes of a plank. That's fantastic. It's body weight. If you're not quite up to that, using a really small trampoline to rebound, and so using that to jump up and down for 20 minutes each day is brilliant. If you have any hip, knee or ankle pain or injury, because you can do it really safely. It comes with a bar that you hold onto. It also helps with your serotonin levels, so that's the feel good hormone that's produced in your stomach. So you get a feeling of really good mood after doing your jumping, and also has a fantastic effect on improving your muscle strength, and so reducing the probability of falls and things like that as well. Otherwise, you can go out and you can lift weights, of course, but there's lots of different exercises you can do. Resistance band training is another way of using your own body weight to build up those muscles too. So if you do have any gut issues, you can use natural digestive enzymes to help break down your food. So things like pineapple and papaya, ginger and kefir are brilliant for breaking down the different types of foods like carbs, proteins and fats, and making sure that everything is moving through the body correctly. Don't exclude groups of foods unless you've been advised by a healthcare professional or a nutritional therapist. We will be able to help you to replace any nutrients lost by eliminating food groups, but please don't eliminate them just based on feeling that it might be contributing to your gut health issues. You do need calcium and magnesium rich foods in your diet, both for your heart health and your gut health. There are two sides of the same coin really when it comes to relaxing and tensing muscles, and you need both of them for both heart health and for all of your muscles. Herbal teas are a great way to stay hydrated. Omega-3 rich foods I talked about already in detail, as well as eating the rainbow. And you can of course use supplements if needed, and if you need any advice on that, you can contact me, or you can use the link in my bio to create a 15-minute free consultation, and I can talk you through your questions. Behavioral changes are also really good when it comes to helping your gut. So eat regular meals, reduce sugar and refined grains, reduce those ultra processed foods. Remember that 80-20 rule. Make sure you have a good sleep routine. If you want more details on creating a sleep routine, you can also get in touch with me about that. And we talked about screen time and stress in the program too. The final thing is just remember to chill out and chew. So before you start eating, take a couple of deep breaths, make sure you're relaxed and you're not in any way stressed out, because if you're stressed, you're in fight or flight and you're not in rest and digest. So if you're in fight or flight mode all the time, where you're really stressed out and you haven't had a break and you're sitting down to eat your food, you're not going to get the benefit of all of the nutrients in your food. So just taking a couple of seconds to chill out, take a few breaths, sit at the table, eat your food mindfully will really improve your digestion and really make sure that you get all of those nutrients from your food. Thank you so much for joining the Heart Healthy Habits Challenge and for attending the webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with me. I'll send you a link to this recording, and I will also make sure that you can contact me. I'm going to put in a link for that 15-minute booking into the email as well. Thank you ever so much for listening, and I hope to hear from you soon.